part. Sorry. We encourage open dialogue, disagreement, and participation because strong regions are built through strong conversations. Let's get into it.
I'm Steve Cormier, and how is your day going today?
It's going fantastic. I'm Brad Gregorini, and as we said, welcome to Connected North. Let's start simple. What is economic development actually supposed to accomplish in a city like ours, Steve?
Well, to start with, I think I'm going to be the guinea pig in this job because you know way more about it than me. So I'm going to go with your lead a little bit on this one. I know enough about it, but I didn't use it as much as you did in your lifetime being in business, and I do know enough about it. But I'm going to just kind of flow with this one and see where it goes.
It's something that has never came to top of mind for you because it's slowed down rather than accelerated for you, just maybe difficult in accessing or just not knowing where to go to get it. So in the past, when I've dealt with economic development, or the way I see it would be, it's about creating jobs in the north. It's about helping attract outside capital. And really the fundamental is supporting the local businesses and expansion and how to get things done. That could be in the form of helping write grants or whatever else that your organization or my organization would need to expand, help expanding our businesses. Kind of a tool in the toolbox, if you will.
Yes, I read a lot about it. I learned about it later on in my business. When we first opened the business, my job was to just keep ahead of it. And we were doing a really good job at it. We did so much work outside the city that we didn't see that part of it. I actually get this wrong. In this maybe about 9-10 years ago, John Fabero was part of it. I think he was. John was
great guy.
He was the guy that was running it, and he did approach me many times. He was very good at what he did at the time. And there was a lot out there, but the business was growing so fast and we were moving so fast that I wasn't in town very much. And so that part was missed with what I know about it and how to play it out. So
actually, I think when we did first meet, up here you came down to our offices. I think we first met. It was John Fabrero was the connector with
Brad Smart. Yes,
correct.
Exactly.
So John was the business development guy for the city and worked alongside Dan Hollingsworth and executed a lot of growth plays, knocking on doors, seeing what companies needed to do. That was the old regime. Since then, I mean,
I don't even know who's the new one. No one ever approaches you. There's no talk about anything. There's, it is what it is there. But I was John. I'd go to Calgary and there's John, and I'd go to Toronto and there's John, and we did a lot of big shows in Vegas. And there's John. I mean,
business, right?
But he was hunting business, and that was good. Energy was a big factor in Sault Ste. Marie, and solar was there because of all the jobs that were happening here in town. So yeah, it was. He actually did a very good job. I can't say anything bad to say about it.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about, I know the old regime because I worked very closely with a lot of those individuals and they were instrumental in a lot of my growth. But as of recent, let's say we strip away the press releases and the politics, what are the measurable outcomes that would prove it's working? Like you sitting.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't even know who, right now I think a lady's doing the job. I don't even know her name.
Nope. I believe it's a gentleman by the name of Rick. And
okay.
The only reason the only reason I know that is I've reached out to see. So for everyone at home, Steve and I started this podcast, and to start the podcast, we needed to create a studio and a space. And in order to get the space going, we've put the space out for rent. So when we're not using the space is available for anyone to come in, and we wanted to get the word out. And I kind of going the old way I used to do business. I would do a feeler, do a reach out, and then, next thing you know, it would have been Dan or John would have came down to the office, checked out what we've got going on, and then they would help promoting us. Well, unfortunately, the same reach out did not, I got a nice email response back that they're too busy at this time.
Oh, really?
So that's funny, because that's why I said if we strip away the press releases, what are we doing? So busy doing what would be more of my thought.
They could be busy. Let's not say they're not, but busy at what? I don't see nothing on the news. I don't see nothing, well, except for the steel plant, but I don't see anything standing out there that's something's happening. And again, who do we say that's not happening? Because it might be happening, but nothing that I see that's going on here. So, and
as a person in business in the community, roughly how many people do you employ?
We vary in the summertime to wintertime. Like I say, in 2013 we had 700 people. We've downsized, and now we run between 50 and 100, depending on job sites and what's going on. And so
you'd think a community member, a business entrepreneur with say 100 plus, and the plus could be up to whatever is needed to accomplish.
If I go after the bigger jobs, I can go up to, again, 200-300 people. It depends on where I want to approach. I'm getting a lot of approaches right now in Alberta, and a lot of approaches in Ontario, Toronto area for that conversation. There's a lot of big conversations going out. There's a lot of things coming back in Ontario right now with solar and that kind of stuff. So I've had meetings upon meetings about what's going on right now.
So from my side looking out, I would say, Steve, this is probably a good time for that economic development team to reach out to you to see how they could assist, because the more you expand and take on other projects, it creates back jobs here at the home office.
Absolutely.
That's how it did in my world.
Absolutely.
So, you need more skilled people too, right? So not just your tradespeople that are out in the field, but office people, managers, engineers, you have a
health and safety,
a wide range.
It's all there. We have to have all that in set before we even start a job. And we're how it works, and we try to hire within the city, and it depends on where we're going. If we're in Peterborough working, we will try to hire some in Peterborough, and we bring our core always from here.
And the core comes from here. The head office is managed from here.
Yeah.
Again, so here in the north wins, and this is where
absolutely.
That's how my business was. We went out to a lot of places. We were out across the province. We didn't venture too much outside the province. We were in the U.S., but as well, we were primarily Ontario focused. And what happened was, the bigger we got outside of the city and outside of the north, the more jobs we needed inside the north. And so, I would be very curious to see, we've done a quick scrub of what's available out there, and I really haven't seen any of the three-year numbers reports on what new companies net new has this EDC brought to us. And I know that I have heard they are chasing the port project, and, not to bring back the port project from previous episode, but, should we possibly have a dashboard, or how do we as residents measure what's working and what's not? And especially, we live in a highly competitive region. Sault Ste. Marie was once earmarked under the hard work of the previous EDC to bring the Noront refinery here for the Ring of Fire project.
Yeah.
Lots of revenue spent chasing that down. We were successful, but as it turns out, the community is not open to diversification. The same old that we hear. Yes. Well, guess where that plant now is going?
Sudbury, I think.
Exactly, Sudbury.
When Sudbury's got the mines going on strong, they got all these really positive things going on. They have a big factory going in for building machinery for mining, which is, very positive. And I've been, we watch our news, and It's Sudbury, Timmins, Sudbury, and that's the way it works.
I mean, hey, I'm very happy that the North
Oh,
is. You know what? The
absolutely.
North is the North, and I think collectively as the North that we need to win.
Yeah.
But we do live in a competitive region, as we were saying, and growth just isn't assumed. We need to start measuring it. And your company, things are measured. So what?
So, well, here's the case. We just talked about, we had it and then we lost it, but then we also lost 1,000 jobs, which them two don't add up to nothing. What is going on with that? I mean, and I don't want to keep on bringing it up, but that's the conversation at all the coffee shops. That's the conversation that these young guys, and some are, 10 years in steel plant, are getting laid off, looking for. Now they're going to the mines. They're looking for jobs that are higher paying, and because there is not a lot of higher
equal
paying
pay,
jobs,
equal pay to what they were making, right?
Or equal pay, exactly. Or they go to Sudbury to the mines, or we lose them, or they sell the house and leave. So then we have another empty house, or that's not the way we want. I don't think that's not how we want to do business, and so. So where are they going to bring? Where are they drawing people in? I don't have that conversation. I would like to have that conversation, and it would be nice if they came here to have this. Let's bring it up.
We have to get them to respond to the call first. So
exactly, let's support it. Let's give them the opportunity to show why they're doing their job, and they're doing their job really well.
Well, we have that platform to communicate. So in private enterprise, if we don't grow, there are consequences. How does accountability work in like a public economic development? Because that's where it rises. So what are they accountable to? Whom do they are accountable? The council is what I understand, through the mayor, the council.
Okay.
They set a policy and strategic direction, and then it goes through, and they are the tools. Just kind of, I guess, we set our corporate strategies. We go down to our management team. Our management team starts executing. But I mean, I have KPIs and dashboards. KPIs, just for anyone, they're key performance indicators that we set that tell us how we're succeeding or losing, or when we need to put our foot on the gas and take our foot off the gas. What do you think that is for economic development? Like, what do you think they even have any indicators? I mean, we're speculating here because we don't know the inner workings, and maybe we can bring someone on that has that can shed some light. But
well, something, their job would be the same as our job. So let's start from the beginning. I opened a business, you open a business. We look around, see what jobs are out there, and how do we hire 10 people, 15 people, and keep them hired and keep the company making money. And that would be my job, and that would be your job, and the people we hired for to go looking for the work. And so that would be the same as what they're doing. They have to make sure there's a proper amount of companies coming in to keep 75,000 people living comfortably and happily, really. And so every year that I've been in business, which has been a lot, I had to reinvent our business because we're a solar business. We started off as solar. We're a heavy equipment business, which works with solar because we keep our machinery up, but we also are a solar business to start with. We realized that when we were a solar business, we were just identified as a solar business. So then all of a sudden we are not a Goma Energy Solution. We became AES Holdings. So now it's a holding company that does multiple things because we wanted to live in Sault Ste. Marie and we wanted to expand. So all of a sudden now we're building houses because we have carpenters. We are spray foaming because it's energy. It's efficient. Right. It's efficient. It's a really good thing. We are helical company that does helicals for decks, houses, solar. So, but we had to make it different. So we have a small little helical machines, and we have very large helical machines for different applications. And so, but that's what I was doing. So I guess I could do the job too.
So as you'd say, you had a KPI dashboard that allowed you to follow where the trends were going. Exactly. And then as demand came, you were able to chase down new opportunities and expand the business. And I think from the economic development standpoint, it is identifying those opportunities. working with our municipalities and government systems to attract business or make it easy. And I say easy is the key word to move to the north. And I'm going to highlight our community of the Sioux, but we're pitching against other communities and we're always in competition with other communities.
Yes.
So governance, reporting, and structure. And I think that's where I would like to see, instead of headlines, is just that reporting. Maybe there should be a 3-year job creation target. Maybe there should be a capital attraction target.
Well, that would be a really positive thing, because so if they had a 3-year, what they're going to be doing, the businesses looking in on it could say, okay, look what they're doing here, look what they're doing there. Maybe we can move to that sector and think about what to do here, but I don't like to say, don't tell me. I don't know where the Sioux's going. I have no idea the next move they got. I hear the news. The news is very limited, I find. It just says what it is that day and what's going on. But maybe I don't watch the council. I don't do that. So,
well, I've looked. We've scrubbed, the internet, AI, and all of those fancy things that are out there. But we scrubbed for a public breakdown of private capital attraction versus grants assigned projects, and we really couldn't find anything that is new and current. Besides, hey, we're giving it a good shot, oh boy, on that port project. And again, not to sound negative, I think it's a positive thing that we're chasing something, but if only a few people know about it, how do use your words, how do we pivot in for a team approach?
Even if it was a story and it was gonna maybe happen, we wouldn't see it for a very long time. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, it's talk, it's conversation. But what's happening right now? Like what are we doing right now besides losing 1,000 people in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks? And where are they? I know a lot of them got jobs. They're moving on. Right now they're hiring people in Sudbury a lot right now. But that means that person will go to work in Sudbury and come back for so long until they sell their house and then they move. And so then we won't have that person or that high-end, half-decent job.
Right. So
or the mines. Maybe they will stay here because going far to the north, they go to work for 2 or 3 weeks and come back for 2 weeks. So they might stay here. But again, we don't know that.
So as someone like yourself that allocates capital, the ROI, return on investment, that matters.
Yes.
And so shouldn't the public capital be treated in the same way to attract these things? Like, we're going to spend these dollars to bring in these companies to keep those jobs. What are we doing and who are we going after? Because it's a competitive landscape out there. You've got the U.S. market competing for every job that's ever available, and then you've got in Ontario, you've got jobs competing for jobs. You've got provinces competing to lure companies to their provinces, and then let's break it right down to the north. We have northern communities competing for northern opportunities. So what makes us stand out? And that's where I think the EDC or the economic development team, they're our sales force. They're the people out there pitching. They're out there.
100%. That's their job. Their job is to, hey, you come to Sault Ste. Marie because this is what we have to offer. And I agree with that. You need to be a good salesman to do the job. And again, going back to John, he was a very good salesman. He knew how to sit with the best and talk.
But he understands people's needs.
But he talked like a salesman. He drew you in. I don't have anybody drawing me in. I don't have anybody, it's the same as the banks. We used to, I had a lady that come to me and saw me come to me every 6 months, and we'd go through my numbers, and it lasted for 1.5 years, which was amazing. And then not a person since then.
The bank?
The banks. I'm just going to a different format.
We're going to have to work with that. That's going to be a whole other episode on the banks.
It's an whole different episode, but I'm saying I'm just kind of showing a good salesman doing their job makes your life easier. And ever since then, that was years and years ago, that lady moved on and she's doing something different now. And till that day, only time I hear from the banks is when I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
Or I owe money.
or not even that. It's like you're a great business. You're
and I'm not trying to change it. But
You're financially accountable. You hit all your markers, and you go to the bank, and I hear, oh, I want to do this. And they're like, yeah, we're not doing that.
No.
You're not doing that. And I'm like, well, the bank. So we'll get into the banking.
Yeah.
We'll get into that banking one. We're on banking though. Let's talk about capital because it is a competitive environment out there. And
really competitive right now.
so being an entrepreneur, why would you choose here? Why would you choose here right now?
The only reason why I would choose here is not because of taxes, because it's
Definitely
higher than anybody except for Thunder Bay, I think it is, in Ontario.
Are we competitive on?
It doesn't. The only thing it draws in, it's a beautiful city.
Okay.
It's a beautiful. If you're a snow machiner and a four wheeler and a boater, there's lots to offer there, and that would be a draw. But other than that, I would really think second.
So we're not. Are we competitive on tax?
Not even a little bit.
Are we?
Okay. Oh, wait, how about this? This year moved up 3.8%, right?
Okay.
But I'm allowed to move my rent up 2.1%.
Yeah, that makes sense,
So
right?
2 and 2 doesn't make 4 there. 2 and 2 makes 6. And so they can do what they want and they can add what they want, but we can't do what we want because we can't. And so every year we go one step behind on our rent so why would you do that? So it's another thing another investment. How do you do that?
So are we competitive? So you're in construction. Are we competitive on permitting timelines? So if you want to open up here, are we competitive? Can you say, I've picked Sault Ste. Marie, let's make that happen? Are we competitive?
I would say no. I don't have a good answer on that one.
No, that's the best answer right there.
I did a lot of research on it back in my time, and I've asked a lot of questions. And what draws a company to come here?
Well,
and I said, well, do you give them a tax write-off? Do you give them a tax incentive to maybe a 5-year thing to build them up so they can make the thing? And I remember a guy. This is a long time ago. A guy said, we can't do that. I said, what do you mean you can't do it? You can do anything you want. If you have an empty space that's doing nothing and they're going to put a building there and they're going to eventually in 5 years pay this much money for taxes, why wouldn't you do it?
Why wouldn't you?
I never going to get a positive or a proper answer to that, which was really weird.
Well,
and that was a long time ago, so I can't.
But let's hope let's hope to bring that in. So let's find someone that can give us an answer on that. So that would bring us to the next part. Are we competitive on regulatory clarity? Like, from your standpoint, regulations, it's in your business line, from our community, from the standpoint, do we have clarity on regulatory? Is it consistent decision making? Is that there?
This is so out of my realm, I guess, or out of my wheelhouse, because I was so tired of trying to figure that out
that you just went and did it. So
I just made a decision at the end of the day is we do this much business every year, and we put this much in our business every year, and that's the way we deal with things. I did it, years ago. I was doing small homes. Small homes were getting really big.
Okay,
and so I was working with a guy out of Toronto that was building small homes, and it was a solar home, and we were being sold in Egypt.
Oh wow!
Which was really, it was really starting to move. Then Egypt went a little sour, and what was going on. So because we did a lot of business with this guy, and he did racking for me, I did a lot of racking, like solar racking, and I bought a lot from him, and we were back and forth with meetings, and always seen him all the time. We decided to put the solar house in Sault Ste. Marie on my property.
Okay, you have a solar house?
So I did have a solar house.
Okay.
And so I put the solar house there. We took it apart in Toronto and brought it here and put it up for show.
Okay.
And there was a lot of interested people. They were like, wow, this is real cool. It was about 800. There was 3 different styles of houses, 600, 800, and it was fully efficient no needs for electricity, no needs for hot water because that hot water
like a
system.
display. So you took a
built a
display model
display.
and brought it here
And,
to the suit.
and the really interesting was the roof was 100% solar.
Wow.
The roof was the solar panels.
Okay.
In structured into the panels. Very unique system. And
So it took off like wildfire.
it took off like a lot of people are very interested. A lot of people wanted to do it. Our city board fought me the whole time.
What do you mean? Like so
Because they said, no, you can't just put a house there. It's not a livable house. There was nobody living in it. It was just for show. And they fought me. I went to council, and unfortunately, and the good thing is the council, at the end of the day, voted for me to keep it.
Okay.
So
That's a positive thing.
And back then, that was he just passed away. He was one of our mayors, taller guy, glasses.
John Roswell?
No, not John Boswell. No, after him. Anyways, he really supported it. We talked a lot about it. I can't remember his name. Anyways, he supported it, made sure it happened.
I can picture his face.
And he just passed away not too long ago, actually. Anyways, at the end of the story, 2 years came up. They didn't bug me, and then they started bugging me. No. Finally, the sad thing about this story is finally I sold the place. I put it on my structure on my building. I have a big trailer that I move houses.
Okay.
I put it on the trailer. The snow came last year, and because it's on a trailer not being structurally done right, it came apart
Okay.
because it wasn't supported to the proper.
It wasn't on the right
It was
piers.
sitting on my trailer. Snow never stopped. It made a thing. Anyways, I lost the house. We had to go through insurance. It was what it was. It was one of those.
So regulatory clarity, there was no clarity to kind of take it and sum it up. If we had
their care was get it out of that area and let's move it on. That's all.
Very
That's
interesting.
only conversation I can ever get out of those guys. And it was over and over again. And I was tired of fighting it. And I had to pay money to have it sit there. But eventually I just said, whatever. We sold it off. We moved it on. It's a done deal.
So I would say that if we're trying to attract outside capital, that might be part of our problem. You're bringing in something new because capital, it just doesn't move because there's slogans and there's fancy stuff. It moves risk, adjusted return. Is it attractive? Are we structured the right way? And from kind of your experience of what you're talking about right now, just in your one experience of a new product, is it there? Are we able?
I don't think our city knows how to foresee that, or not foresee it, or to okay, let's get out of the box and let's think how can we draw people in because of that. I think that's the weak link of what we have. We have to do it the proper way, this way, and we have to make sure we get our money out of it instead of saying let's work with these people. And I think that's the missing link.
So clearly, you had said just a couple minutes ago that you talk to people about how do we get incentives to get people here. So we don't really have incentives, or there is nothing really that is standout that Sault Ste. Marie is doing, but we still don't really see that we're attracting any investment.
Our city wants to talk to people outside the city instead of talk to people inside the city, I think. And I don't remember ever anybody coming to my office and talking to me about incentives.
Right.
And maybe that's every city, I don't know. But I know that I've been in a lot of meetings in other cities, and it's a little bit different than this city for that part. There's a lot of incentive because I was part of all the solar jobs all over Ontario, and in the big meetings with the city councils, and finding out and how they draw and how they want to draw in and other stuff. Now it's battery storage that's really trying to draw in, and I think our city's doing some of that. But here's another thing: it's so quiet. No, they don't want nobody to know about nothing until it happens, and then they can announce it, and they make them everybody's look at me kind of thing.
So it's another
Instead of
announcement.
saying, why not talk to the people in the city and see what they want? Maybe, I don't know. Is that a good question?
I get it. We're spending our tax dollars, so maybe that's a benchmark of how much of the budget is actually allocated to economic development because it's a function of the city, the way it's structured right now. And I know there's a couple different models out there and ways that you can attract or set up, your economic development. But how ours is set up, I think they're a line item in the municipal budget. And it would be curious to see how much of operations they get because, we got to pull back on spending. Well, I know that, when things get tight and we are losing jobs and we're losing momentum, that's the time to double down for expansion. So, maybe we need to start putting a published return on investment report, cost job per created, something that there's a public performance dashboard that we can get out there. That way then, again, from entrepreneurs.
I know there's a lot of people out there that are very interested in what's happening in Sault Ste. Marie. And I know I've had a lot of conversations. They have no idea. I've called a lot of I have a lot of customers. We have a lot of customers in Sault Ste. Marie. We talk all the time. We always have conversations with lunches and that, and everybody's it's not just me in the boat. There's a lot of people like, what are we doing now? What's going on now? How's business? Blah blah blah. And it seems to be, yes, I think there's a conversation with a small amount of people. But I don't know if they want to let it go out to everybody else in the world. In the city, anyways.
I kind of get that. But
I've always seen that in the city. So,
and I think that we need transparency, and if we need to have the right strategy. So if we're confident in the strategy and we have transparency, it'll strengthen the trust. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
Well, trust in governance and trust in the right path. And I think that would design a winning model with some KPIs and dashboards. I think if we design it, if we're rebuilding our economic development model from scratch, what would it look like? I don't think we need to rebuild it from scratch, but there could be a vision out there where it's tweaked with, 5 KPIs or 3 KPIs.
So again, at the beginning, you reached out to them to have a conversation. They're too busy for this conversation. Maybe they're too busy for us to have this conversation.
Big things happening.
But we're opening a door to allow you to maybe think second about this and maybe coming and have a conversation and showing the people in Sault Ste. Marie what they're actually doing, and maybe there's a positive in there somewhere.
Well, and I'm not sure if it lands in the EDC, but a 3-year rolling job target, capital leverage ratio, would funding increase tied to measurable growth, some performance dashboards that are public. And that's a question. I don't know, should they be or just be available to us? I think it should be. We need a good solution-based model that shows where we're going with a clear outline. And maybe it's there and this just hasn't been communicated.
Maybe it's been, yes. I can't say if it's been there, it's there or it's not there. I don't know. So that's a topic that could be talked about more. So